Think Big with Dan Qasim, and our guest today is Mariya. So if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, tell us what you do and where you live.
Sure. My name is Mariya. I am the founder of Mariya Pallais PR. So I don't really live anywhere per se. I travel. I just travel around and scuba dive and have a PR company. Currently I'm in DC, so that's my current location.
So when you're traveling, do you go like for months at a time or for a week here, a week there? Like how do you structure your traveling?
Yeah, so I do longer trips now because I made the rookie mistake of doing like shorter trips when I first started doing this. And it was a nightmare. Like I was so stressed out. So I have a 1 month minimum. I actually just got back 2 days ago from Honduras and I was down there for 90 days. I stayed out that visa. And then I'll be headed to Europe September and October, and I'm gonna try to stay. It's hard with Europe because you want to go everywhere, but I'm gonna try to stick with at least 3 weeks in every location I go.
Cool. So I guess just to backtrack, how did you get your job?
Um, so just a series of events. So I was in Long Beach. I was finishing my bachelor's in at Cal State Long Beach, and just a series of unfortunate events I didn't get to finish, but I ended up getting a job at Airbnb through another set of circumstances. So I started doing marketing. I started in their marketing department. Kind of, they were launching this strategic partnership with Vivint Smart Home, and I was kind of working on that project. They ended up offering me a job, so I got into marketing. And they had wanted me to relocate. I was still in the LA area, and I didn't want to, so I was like, hey, well, I know a few things, so I started my own company, probably prematurely, but hindsight is always 2020. So I started the marketing company, and then I just grew and learned, and I landed on PR pretty early on because marketing is tough, and especially the digital marketing space is very, very saturated. So just through podcasts and learning and stuff, I kind of took what I had learned at Airbnb, applied it to marketing, and then just furthered my own education and started building out, my connections. And then we pretty much are just PR. We do personal branding, which is, a marketing tactic, but we're pretty much just PR communications at this point. And so really, I guess I'm pretty much self-taught in the PR space, but it's been a good thing to learn because it's lucrative, it's not as saturated. You in some industries you can get incredible results organically without having to do any advertising. Depending on what kind of company and all their circumstances. I don't want to say like you can do it and you will get these results right away, but like, some the tech space, the game space where I work, it's very, very lucrative. So kind of in a nutshell.
So, by the way, I think still if you are staying on the trip for 1 month, still things are pretty quick at your side, I believe. And what are your next 6 months goals? Like in your mind, like you are going to achieve this.
So next 6 months, we're doing a big push. We're onboarding a lot of new clients. We're pretty much just we are trying to grow, but slowly, like intentionally slowly.
Mm-hmm.
Because a couple of years back, we tried to grow really quickly and we didn't have the right foundations in place.
Mm-hmm.
So and I just decided like I didn't want to live that life, right? I wanted to scuba dive and I wanted to see the world, and I didn't want work to embody my whole existence. So so that over the next 6 months we'll be laying a really solid foundation to set us up for growth within the next year. And we have a set of goals that we want to reach financially within 6 months, within 1 year, and then ultimately 5 years. But we're definitely like we're doing really well now. We don't want to try to do this like accelerated growth thing and just do it wrong again, because I'll admit it, we did it totally wrong the last time and it was really stressful.
Okay, good. So, by the way, to accelerate the things, are you working good with the technology? What is the role of technology in your day-to-day routine in of the business, obviously?
Yeah. So well, I guess like the big what everyone's talking about is AI. So we actually work with a lot of AI companies. We do so as far as like technology and PR and how it's affecting us is like so my director of content like has a very like hateful relationship towards chat gbt because she's like, this is just garbage. I'm like, this is so cool, it can organize things for me. And she was just like, yeah, we're going to use it for everything but writing. And she's just like so offended by it. So I like, as far as like in marketing, I think it can save you like a ton of time. I love working with AI companies because I think that the technology and innovation that they're bringing to fruition is amazing. I'm all about ethical and responsible AI. And I'm like, and it's awesome to be like a part of it, like and promoting it in a healthy way. And then seeing how our industry is changing, because I think people are able to be a lot more productive with it, especially well, so there's like it's like on one hand, people can use it to be like really productive, right? And on the other hand, people are using it to write all their content and do it, and it shows. So like seeing just people thrive and like find their way in it has been exciting, I think. And I'm definitely like I'm obviously on all the major media outlets because I'm constantly talking to journalists and reporters for my clients and stuff. So I'm seeing just article after article about this AI company and that AI company. And I think it's really exciting, the innovation we're seeing, and being in the middle of it has been very exciting.
It's really cool. So in terms of PR in the technology space, what do you look for when you have companies reaching you, when you reach companies? Like, what specifically stands out? Because I mean, if you talk about AI, or there's so many companies doing it right now. So like, what would stand out in a story that's going to go viral in the PR space?
Honestly, the ones that like are open and willing to use like their personal story and implement that into their company story, because it's so easy to just be like, I have this technology that can do this really cool thing, and then it be anonymous, and then you're just gonna like you're gonna have a hard time, like you're not gonna it's not. So like I actually how I pick who I want to work with is like, if I have a really solid conversation with the founder or the co-founder or whatever initially, and we we connect on that level, that's how I'll choose, because it's like, okay, they're open to speaking, they're open to telling their personal story, and it's not just like a business, because there's so many like, there's so many different extensions and applications that do the exact same thing. So like if I'm going to be telling your story and doing creative storytelling and trying to get you like top tier media coverage and keynote and all of that, like you have to be an interesting person, you have to be really excited about your brand. And so I definitely base it off the person, not the company.
Well, yeah, I think me and Qasim have a good story. We met on Fiverr, and I'm in Texas and he's in
Nice.
Pakistan. We still have never met in person yet, so it's a really 2023 business. So I guess from that standpoint, I always think that we have a good story, but obviously it's just what me and Qasim think. But it's I'm not sure what other people think. But yeah, that's cool. So I guess in terms of in PR, right? Like, what would you say are some of your biggest challenges in terms of getting people more press?
So you have the people that have either like a large company backing them financially or strategically or whatever, and you can go in and they're willing to take your guidance, and it's fairly simple to get because they have a really solid story to tell. I think the biggest challenge is with some of these newer companies is cutting through, because just because I think a very common misconception is like, oh, you're a publicist, so you know everyone and you'll just get me a headline right away. And it's like, no, like they'll like, even if I know them and have a good relationship with them, they are not afraid to turn me down. And so it's like finding a balance of writing a really good story, being okay with building your social proof, managing your expectations because it's not going to happen right away, and then watching it soar. And so like that's great for like pre-seed when you're looking for funding. Get a few smaller headlines, get people comfortable with what you're doing and what you're saying. Have that when people search for you, have that readily available to them. And then, and then maybe TechCrunch will launch your big round of funding, right? But it's finding a balance of keeping clients happy and realistic expectations, and like watching small companies take off is really exciting because it will take some time. You do have to lay a really good foundation, but then they finally do get the IGN feature and they're so stoked and we're stoked. And that's kind of, I guess, would be.
That's awesome. So what's been your proudest accomplishment in your PR career?
Oh, yeah, probably, honestly, probably surviving COVID and like still being intact. Like obviously I love like getting people into big publications and stuff, but we do that quite frequently. I would say more on like a personal level, like keeping it together and like finding a balance to where I still really enjoy what I do and I get excited about it, I think would be the biggest accomplishment. Like we have, we're doing these things for the clients and getting them good results, I think is normally what you would say. But I think that for me, it's just still enjoying what I do and showing up and surviving COVID, I think, and then being able to pivot through all of it and living my best life while doing it.
So how specifically did COVID impact your business?
Oh, it was bad. So it wasn't actually like during COVID. We actually like spiked a lot during COVID because we were still doing a lot of marketing at the time. And so we were taking storefronts and making them like online, putting them online. So like e-commerce. So that really took off, but it was like when everyone's PPPs ran out the second round and stuff, and everyone was like, crap, I have no more money. That's when it got really wild. We cut at least 50% of our staff. At least. I'm trying to think, like it was at least 50%. It was really hard because you get close to your team, and then just trying to bounce back from that, and trying to do it quickly. That was wild. So I would say it was actually the year after COVID that was the hardest for us, but nonetheless because of COVID.
So in terms of bouncing back, I mean, have you been able to bounce back? Are you bigger now than before COVID? Like, where are you at right now compared to that downfall that you had?
Oh no, we're smaller, but we're making more money now. Our processes have changed a lot, and we kept a lot of really key people. And like I said, we've intentionally kept the operations small because we just don't want to go through that stress again. And then we are, obviously wanting to grow because that's the goal, right? But we're doing it a little bit more strategically this time.
Smart. So what processes have you implemented to help improve efficiency so that you have less staff now? You mentioned AI earlier, but I mean, is there anything else that specifically has been able to help you, have more revenue with less people?
Yeah, I think the productivity of the people we have now were the people who were performing the highest then. Before we had a lot, and not to talk negatively, but we had a lot of interns and we had a lot of people that were in training, and just working with the core group of people without having to like, have that on their plate too, with management of that has been really key. And I mean, some AI as far as just boring daily processes has been really nice. And we have a really good VA. I think before, not to talk badly, but the way that this VA performs now versus back in the day, I'm like, wow, this is so much like more things that you get done. This is incredible. So I think just keeping the right people under a stressful situation that are able to perform under a lot of stress has been great, because we've managed to stay small but get a lot done and increase from, I wouldn't say that we're making more than before COVID, but we're like right there, right, with a lot less people. So
That's good. So in terms of, improving your processes, so were you all in person, like in the office before COVID, or is it always a fully remote team? Like, what did that look like? Because now you mentioned that you're traveling all around the world. So were you doing that before, or when did that start exactly?
Yeah, so we're all fully remote and we've always been fully remote. So that was easy. That was an okay transition because we didn't really transition at all. I probably will never have an in-person business. I mean, I know it's like the ongoing debate, and I love that for people who work better that way. I love that for you, but that's not for me.
Well, Qasim's so his our development team is all in person. Like on the BD side, we're all over. So I
Yeah,
guess yeah. So like with development, Qasim's a big believer in person environment. But
Yeah.
I'm not a developer, so I can't speak to that.
yeah, yeah. I think they're different, and like different types of jobs do need to be in person. But yeah, for us, it's been good remote because being able to travel has been like great for my mental health and keeping me excited and wanting to push through tougher things and stuff like that. So
Yeah, in fact, I think the things that are sort of related to the AI may be performed remotely. Because like in particularly or field in field of development, when the team is sitting under the same roof, they can discuss with each other on the runtime by just
yeah,
reaching each other. So on the other hand, the remote for the remote jobs, I believe the things that can be performed on remote can get more value with the AI
yeah,
when AI is associated with them. So AI is bad and good as well. Like it is
yeah,
more good than the bad. It is bad if students are using AI to prepare their assignment, but
yeah,
it is
exactly.
good.
Well, that's debatable. I mean, I think if they have the tools, I'm like, why not use them? It's funny because like I saw somebody say this recently because in school it was always like don't cheat, but in real life, like you're not doing anything by yourself. Like everything is collaborative. So I'm just like, what are you really? You're using your resources. You're working with somebody else and collaborating to do the exam. You know.
Well, I guess like if like for a paper, I guess if you did all the research and you put all of the information you wanted and you just wanted, I don't know. I haven't been in school for so long. I don't know even know if that's appropriate, but I'm just like, well, they could just like help you write that a little bit quicker as long as it's all your own ideas. But I've had Chat GPT go so rogue where I was just like, that is not at all what I said or anything close to it. So I don't think I would trust it, quite honestly, to write a paper for me.
Yeah, that because that is not humanly interpreted. Like
Yeah, I
the
was like,
human factor is missing in it. So that completely makes sense. But I believe AI things should be used to automate the things
yeah,
more than like to do research for you.
yeah,
So because
exactly.
that can be wrong. So if you are going to automate your life, your business using the AI, this is something incredible. Like if you are performing a work with your effort in 10 hours and you can reduce it to 1 hour using AI, then why not? We should
Yeah.
use it and we should make our time more productive for other things.
Well, and I think it's allowing small businesses like to be able to be competitive too, right? Where like you can't afford that much manpower, but if it can cut that off and there's no like copyright issues or whatever, you're just automating your processes, I'm all for it because I think it does. I think it allows like if you have a really good, well-oiled like business, you can avoid some of the pitfalls of not having funding and stuff with AI because it's not expensive. The nice thing about it is AI, none of it is like super overpriced. So I think it just gives you a way to be competitive with bigger companies, maybe.
That's
Yeah, in
true.
fact, we are working on our business to make many of the things automate. We are already working on AI, and we hope like it will be going to perform very very well for us in
Yeah.
our business.
Yeah. Yeah. Good luck. And I hope that too. I love it, but some people you always have to acknowledge the other side of it, but I love it.
100%. So I guess as
Okay.
of right now, what does a typical day look like for you?
So right now I'm in DC, so it's like not super typical. I'm staying with a friend. And so I like had to find like a spot that would be quiet from her husky, and like it's a little bit different. But normally when I was in Honduras a couple days ago for like 90 days, I would get up, work, dive in the morning. I do like typically about 2 hours of prospecting, talking to clients, potential clients per day, and then 2 hours of just like getting things done, actual like the meat of my work. And then I would go dive, I would eat dinner, I would read and go to bed. That's a typical day for me. And then, there's always different things. Like sometimes I would go for a night dive or whatever. The weekends, you like 30 hit, and I was just like, okay, I want to be in bed by 9:30, even though it's Saturday. So, yeah,
Okay.
I've involved a lot of my time around diving and getting different certifications in that. And just, I'll go and see things, I was on an island, so there wasn't a lot of sights to see. I'm sure when I'm in Europe, it will look more like work, go see things, then go to bed.
By the way, I love scuba diving. I never did that, but I long for.
Oh, you should do it. It's so much fun. I try to recruit everyone I talk to about it.
Indeed, it must be. It must be. So, by the way, I can see like you are helping small businesses as well. You are
Mhm. Yeah,
helping entrepreneurs,
yeah,
right?
yeah. About 11 to
So,
50 is our sweet spot.
okay. So, what do you think? Like the clients who reach you or you reach those clients, what are their biggest challenges they are facing, and you can help to reduce those problems, or maybe you can help to face those challenges in their business.
Yeah, I think that the biggest challenge for small businesses is cutting through all the noise because there's so many people doing the same thing. And you have to be really strategic, especially like with budget, with how you advertise. You just have to be really more strategic because there's not as many resources available to you. So I think when we come in, we are just really thorough in getting to like just the smallest details about you and your business, and then being strategic on how we present that to the public, right? Or to stakeholders or whoever it is, like depending on what your goal is when you approach us. I think a lot of people's initial like kind of reaction is like, oh, I need to get a ton of clients. Well, no, you need to set a foundation of like how you need to set social proof. I see a lot of people advertising seemingly for lead generation and stuff like that before they even have any sort of social proof built out about them, like why you want to work with them, why they're the best option, why they're doing different than their competitors. And so, and you'll click on the advertising, especially digital advertising, and they have like no following, nothing really about them. And like, I know for me, I won't work with people like that. So I think we come in, we build a really good foundation and communications with said people, their target audience, their stakeholders, whatever it is, so that they can successfully navigate through all of the noise that is digital marketing and make an impact, hopefully.
I believe that's a really cool point that you mentioned. Many of the businesses are facing this problem indeed. So that's a good point. So by the way, I'm impressed. We will be good to reach you, and maybe you can help us as well. So
Yeah, happy
I will-
to.
we're interested. Another hand, is there any advice you can give to the young entrepreneurs like me? I'm
Yeah,
young.
definitely. I always tell people like the number one thing, even and I think they should be teaching this in college, right? Is like make sure your LinkedIn is really on point, and like just
Mhm.
start building out your branding, because whatever messaging you're doing, like whatever content you're creating around yourself, you can then transfer it to like whatever business. Like you can write in that same style, you can have the same views, you can have just the same language, and you can apply it to different things you're doing. And so if someone doesn't have a big budget, like where, it's going to be a big campaign, I always just tell them to go to LinkedIn. Because you can get, when people search for you, it's good for SEO actually. Like a lot of, like, when you search my name, a lot of my LinkedIn posts will pop up in Google. So it will just start getting your name out there and what you're about, and start building out an audience there. Because it's getting more established, but you can still have a really good organic reach there. So and then once you have like a really cool following and a bit of a budget, then start scaling what you're doing. Start speaking on podcasts, start doing small keynote, start, approaching the media for smaller outlets. And then, I get like people into smaller outlets all the time, and then people will reach out to them and be like, hey, I saw this. Isn't it's a smaller outlet, but it's, it's targeted for whatever their audience is, and they get things from it. And then you can also, the bigger outlets, be like, hey, this is what we've been doing, and when they go to search, there's something there. And so it's not just like, wow, this is, I can't find anything on this person. So I preach LinkedIn. I'm not like a LinkedIn marketing person or anything like that, but I do think that having, like, if you have limited resources, make your LinkedIn really pretty would be my number one advice.
Perfect. Great. So it was really nice. I really learned a lot. I hope, Daniel, you must have learned a lot of the things.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for your time, Mariya. It was really nice talking to you, and we will reconnect again.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.